Welcome back to Tiny T Gaming. Today, I'm going to be talking about why I think no other factions created Thunder Warriors or warriors of their caliber during the Unification Wars or the years since. Before I do though, I want to say thank you to everyone who's given their support to the channel. It really means a lot. So, as many of you know, the Thunder Warriors were the super soldiers the Emperor created to conquer Terra, before eventually culling them at the end of the Unification Wars, making way for the Astartes. The Thunder Warriors were physically more potent, effective and brutal than the more refined Astartes, but they were prone to madness, physical and mental degeneration, and were far less reliable. My question though is, why did the Emperor not come against any forces that matched these brutal warriors? Could it be that he did, but we simply haven't heard of them yet? I'm sure eventually we will get more of an insight into the actions of Unification Wars, but until we get more novels or a series, it's just a lot of speculation. We know that whilst a lot of Old Earth or Terra was a barren wasteland given over to the internecine wars that plagued its peoples, there were those who had escaped corruption or mutation, both spiritually or physically. As such, the Emperor was able to recruit the sons of these peoples to form the foundations of the Astartes, and these sons and daughters to form the first initial regiments of the Imperial Army. Surely some other warlords were able to produce super soldiers of their own. Potentially less effective, yes, but still horrific in capacity. Also, why do we not hear of any other disparate human factions from the Great Crusade that managed to develop their own super soldiers? I understand the Emperor is a genius who had lived for near 40,000 years by the time he created the Astartes, the Thunder Warriors and the Custodians, but the Astartes themselves are named after a scientist who was instrumental in their creation. The Emperor was a genius, but he doesn't hold all of the knowledge and capability into the creation of these individuals. Surely other warlords and mad scientists were able and had the resources to produce fearsome warriors who could near match the might of the Astartes or the Thunder Warriors. We know there were multiple factions of techno-barbarians on Terra before unification, so having an insight into these battles would be great, as there could be a whole plethora of different types of super soldiers and different capabilities. And did these different types of soldiers and warriors go into the creation of the Thunder Warriors? Did the Emperor pick and choose different attributes to make the rough outline of what would then become the Thunder Warriors, which would then lead on to the Primarchs and the Astartes? Now, we know for a fact that the Custodians were created during the same time frame, but they were much more refined, so their numbers grew much more slowly and never went above 10,000, not just because of battlefield losses, but because of how much it took to create them. So could it be that a good example is the warlord who turned out to be Aric Tyrannus, or gang leader I should say, during the Horus Heresy in the outskirts of Terra, as he was a gang leader, but he was a Thunder Warrior in hiding and he had one of his warriors alive with him too. He had managed to stabilise them and in the meantime create his own gang of these rough-edged super soldiers who may have dressed like Thunder Warriors but were by no means on that level. But if he could do that, yes, he was a Thunder Warrior himself and he had been exposed to the Emperor, then surely someone else could have. The Astartes legions took horrific casualties during the Great Crusade, fighting the Harad, etc., and the Rangdan genocide, and then the Ulanor Crusade, before the triumph of Ulanor, where they had to crusade and killed Xenos orcs and wipe them from the face of the planet. Surely there was threats on that level that were posed by human factions who had created their own warriors. And did the Emperor cherry pick off these creations? It's a shame we have such a gap in knowledge about the different factions that the Emperor fought during the Unification Wars and then during the initial Great Crusade, because we know for a fact plenty of Xenos races were genocided into oblivion, or extinction I'd say, but what about other human factions? There's got to be some out there, and they could have really led into this, because it'd be really good to know that in the 41st millennium, there are those who could create subpar super soldiers that are much better than the regular Imperial Guardsmen, but not to the standard of the Astartes. And if the technology and the knowledge is out there, then surely someone could do it. Why has it not been attempted? I get it in the 41st millennium, but why not during the Unification Wars or the Great Crusade, where really the setting is so open because we know the human race is going to win, so you can just put any faction in with random law, but the outcome is that they're defeated by the Imperium, and the Emperor either wipes them off the face of existence or absorbs them into his growing fledgling empire. Be really good to have that sort of law put in, and it'd be really good to hear what your thoughts are on this. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you've liked this video then please give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.